When I turn on my Bambu Lab A1 Mini printer, I'm getting an error message that says lubrication reminder. It's time to lubricate Y-axis guide rails, and the lubricating oil is included in the accessory box. And then I have two options at the bottom. I can tap later and continue using the printer, or I can tap done, meaning that I've cleaned the rails. So I'm going to tap later, but I'm going to clean the rails now. And then next time when I turn on the printer, I'll tap done, indicating that the rails have been cleaned. To do the cleaning, we'll need some tools and supplies. We'll need some grease, some oil, a lint-free cloth, swabs with foam tips, not cotton tips. And we want plastic or nylon tweezers and plastic or nylon brush. We don't want to use metal tweezers or a wire brush because we don't want to scratch the rails. And we don't want cloth that has lint or cotton swabs that will also leave lint residue on the rails. Now, the type of grease and lube that I'm using is from Superlube. That's a common brand that's used with 3D printers, but your Bambu Lab A1 Mini kit came with a small tube of oil and a small tube of grease that you can get started with. The first thing I'm going to do on the screen is tap Control, and then tap XYZ, and I'm going to tap and hold the Z arrow so that the Z axis goes all the way to the top. And it says, please home all axes to 0 and wait until homing is complete before movement. Okay, I'm going to tap cancel. And now I'm going to move the X axis all the way over. And I'm going to move the Y axis all the way back. Cancel. So that will expose half of the Y axis, most of the X axis, and most of the Z axis. So we'll start with cleaning those rails. First, you'll want to brush away any loose debris. So I'll use the nylon brush to clean away any small bits of filament from the X, the Y rail, and the Z rail. Then I'll take the lint-free cloth and give each of the rails a wipe down. You can see there's a little bit of dirt there. Next, I'll take a foam swab and the oil and soak the swab in oil. And go along each rail, making sure to get oil into the crevices. You want just a thin coat. The oil should not be pooling up. Do the same for all of the rails, top and bottom. And if you have any excess oil, you can wipe it up with a cloth. This swab is dirty, so we'll throw it away and start with a new one. First, I'll move the Z-axis all the way down. Be careful not to hit the print bed with your nozzle. And in fact, we don't need to move it all the way down because we've oiled most of it anyway. We just need to get to that top portion that we haven't done yet. So I'll move the X over. And I'll move the Y forward. Now I'll do the same thing and oil the opposite side of the X, Y, and Z rails. Okay, now the X, Y, and Z rails have been oiled. The last thing we'll do is grease the Z rod. It's a little bit difficult to see because the rod is hidden inside here, but I'll go ahead and brush any debris from it. And now I'm going to use the Superlube grease and the foam swab to rub some grease on the screw. So put some grease on there and go in and want to press it into the screw. You don't have to do the whole thing. You can do it in several areas. When the mechanism moves up and down, it will spread the grease out evenly. On the screen, I'm going to move the Z-axis back up. Okay, that's far enough. And I'll put some more grease on the swab and do the bottom part of the screw. Once again, you can wipe off any excess with a cloth. Throughout this process, I kept getting a message on my screen saying, please home all axes to 0 and wait until homing is complete before movement. I was just tapping cancel to continue with what I was doing. This time, I'll tap home. Now I'll tap control and turn off the machine, and then turn it back on. Once again, I get the message saying that I need to lubricate the y-axis, which I just did, so I can tap done, and I'm all set. I'm ready to continue with the next print.